Alrighty, everybody. Today we are going to be going over some Dokkan team building. Now, what I want to do in today's video is give you the 5 fundamentals to building a team. I've written out 5 tips that I use when I am making a certain type of team, and I want to share that with you today. So, with all that being said, if you find yourself enjoying today's video or you do find it useful and you get something out of it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you are new around here. So, the first tip that I want to go over is the process of finding a leader skill. Now, for the sake of today's video, we're going to be doing a demonstration, building a team, and we're going to be using the fused fighter category. So, with the fused fighter category, it's going to consist of fighters who are fused in any way, shape, or form, whether it be Batara, Dance, the Namekian fusion, all that wow, I can't talk, fun type of stuff. So, the leader that we're going to be using for an example is the Super Saiyan 4 LR unit. So you can see here, this is the category 1 with slash is fused fighters and GT hero. We'll talk about the second part of that leader skill later, but that is the leader skill that we're going to be using. So we have now identified the leader that we're going to be using for the team. The second thing is we're going to take advantage of the leader skill having more than one category. Now, with this tip, usually the way these work is if leader skill is covering 2 categories, you have some more broad spectrum on your team, right? So you don't only have to run fused fighters, you could also run GT heroes. So what we could do is we go here and we select fused fighters and GT hero, and then what you're going to do is press this button on the top right where it says partial match. So now all of the units that you see on the screen are going to link, or not link, but you can use within the team, right? So just looking here, you can see we have a lot more variety than we did initially because we have the GT heroes being added on to the fused fighters. So that is how you take advantage of that, and that way you can really kind of set in and establish a different type of team that might have some variety within like the setup that you'd be doing. And there's a lot of units in the game that have like these really broad leader skills, right? Like for example, if we reset it and we go to super physical, we can go to this Path to Power Kid Goku Dokkan Fest TUR, and he actually has a very broad leader skill because as you guys can see here, he's actually leading 3 categories. You can see by the ones in the brackets, those are the categories. He is leading Dragon Ball Saga, Youth, as well as Exploding Rage. And then if we were to go to a superclass LR like Beast Gohan, if we look at him right here, you guys can see that he is leading 3 categories, being Superhero, Bond, and Master and Disciple, as well as Entrusted Will. So, or is it? Yeah, it is. Bond, and Master and Disciple, no, it's Miraculous Awakening, excuse me, with Superhero and Bond, and Master and Disciple. So, those guys aren't on global yet, but that's not important for this video. So, let's get back to the second tip. Like I said, take advantage of the fact that you can run more than one category with most of these leader skills. So, make sure that you find a leader that has more than one category, as you're going to have the most freedom with that. Now, with that being said, let's move into the third tip, which is find who is on the leaders 200%. Now, with this GT Goku and Vegeta, you can see down here in parentheses, under the 170% or in brackets, the Kamehameha category, or the one in brackets, like I said, if I could just holding this down, gives an extra 30%. So now that we have this filtered out, what we're going to want to do is set this to, let's see, we want to set it to be something specific, right? So like what we want to do is let's filter this out to be a full match now, because we have to kind of get a little bit more specific, and we want to go over to Kamehameha. Where art thou? There we go. So here are all the units that are going to be on the Super Saiyan 4 leader skill, right? So this is everybody that's going to be on this portion of it, and then what we want to do is look at the what's it called, the GT hero portion of it. So now we take that off, and now we go to GT heroes and Kamehameha, and here are all the units that we're going to be able to take advantage of for this specific leader skill, right? Does that make, I hope that makes sense, right? So a leader skill is going to have multiple categories, and the modern leader skills are also going to have the 200% bonus. Keep in mind that all of the units are not always going to get, or not all leader skills are always going to have that 200% bonus the way this unit does. Sometimes they could even have a unique one, like if we pull up a Carnival LR, which is more of a unique format, like this Goku from the Kai opening, you can see here that this is just a pure 200% to stats. So any unit that is on the Turtle School category is going to be getting 200% to their stats. So there can be unique cases like that, but the 200% leader skill is more of a modern thing, and I think all in all, it is very important, and you have to make sure that you take advantage of that, because that is going to give you the best lead possible. So getting all of the 200% units that you can on one team is going to help out a decent bit. So let's go back to setting it up. So now we're going to be doing the fourth fundamental, and that is set your rotation. So with this part of the video, we need to know what goes into rotations, right? Now, I did do a video recently talking about how everything you need to know about rotations, right? And one of those things are you need to have a potential slot 1 unit and a slot 2 unit that can kind of work off of each other and complement each other, and both aren't fulfilling the same purpose. So for the sake of this video, what we're going to be doing is doing a rotation of Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta, and we're going to be linking them up with, the Super Saiyan 4 LR Goku. So what this is going to provide is a slot 1 unit, which is the Goku. He is designated as the tank that goes in slot 1. And then in slot 2, we are going to have the Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta. As the links work very well, these two units mesh together and they are providing different roles for the team, where Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta are going to fuse into Gogeta and get an action break, and they're also going to be getting a absurd amount of damage and stuff like that, while Super Saiyan 4 Goku is going to be doing more of a defensive role until you get into full power, where he's going to be hitting a lot harder. So that is one rotation that we're going to do, because we have a fundamental slot 1 unit and a fundamental slot 2 unit. Now we need to set another rotation. So now what we want to do is go back to the Fused Fighter team, because we want to take advantage of the fact that this leader skill has more than one category. And that is going to be like this. So we'll go full match on Fused Fighters. And now what we want to do is set up another one. So I think for the sake of this video, if you wanted to kind of look at a slot 1 unit that would go with a slot 2 unit. I am doing this live, so it's like we can kind of really think about this one. I think what would work out really well, this isn't going to be the same as it would be on Global as it would be on JP, but just for the sake of building the team, we'll do this Gogeta, or this Vegito with this version of Gogeta. These guys have very good synergy with their link sets, with everything that they're doing. They can both transform into a Super Saiyan fusion, and they both provide a different role, where Gogeta is kind of more of the defensive unit that has a lot more tanking ability. You have somebody like Vegito, who's going to have a scouter and is going to be doing a lot more damage with counters and stuff like that. So they both are fulfilling a different role. So you have the slot 1 unit in Vegito, and then the slot 2 unit in Gogeta, in my opinion, but it can be interchanged depending on the boss. So that is how you set rotations. These can be done in a million different ways. Like, say we wanted to do a different team, maybe we'll do another one after this. After I'm done explaining things, we can do like a speed run version, right? So this is how you set rotations, and now we need to find floaters, which are going to be safe units that you're going to put in slot 3 and see every 2 turns rather than every other turn. So for the sake of this, I think the way you'd want to do it is you want to prioritize support or utility, right? So the 5-year fusions, for example, are really good floaters because they get a lot of buffs in slot 3, that being this Gogeta and this Vegito that I'm tapping on the screen now. You could run those as floaters, and they also have guaranteed dodging when they transform, but we could also go and look at the GT Hero category just to see if we have anything. So if we go to Kamehameha and GT Hero for the 200%, we can look and see what we potentially want to do, right? Like, one example we could do is a floater. I'm not really seeing anything here on the GT Heroes team, but maybe you could do something like, yeah, okay, so no, I am right. Yeah, I think what I would want to do for my floaters now that I'm looking at it is I want to run those 5-year fusions. So this is how it's going to look when we put it in practice. So we go boom, boom, and then this is the team right here. So using these 5 fundamentals, I think, is how you want to do it. Like I said, you need to figure out what roles each unit are playing, and you need to look at like passives and see what they do. What I always recommend is you find a slot 1 unit for the first spot and then a slot 2 unit for the second spot, right? And those are going to be your rotations. And then you want to have units that give support to the team and will also give just other utilities that are going to be on floaters, right? Units that stack you want to have as rotations because they're going to be raising defense every turn and all that fun stuff. So that is how you do it, right? Now, a couple things that you need to remember, aside from the fundamentals, these are just kind of like a general tip that I would give you towards the end of this video, is throwing all of your best characters on one team can often be less effective than having units that complement each other differently and play separate roles, right? You need slot 1 and slot 2 units to balance each other out so the roles can be distinguished in different events, right? And there isn't going to always be like this be-all end-all team that's going to beat everything. The beauty of the Dokkan battle is the fact that different events present different challenges where different units can excel, right? Let's say there's a stage where there's multiple enemies, right? What you'd want to prioritize is enemies that could attack the field in multiple ways, right? What is known as an AoE attack. So if we look at like an AoE attack, let's just use like an older unit for an example as an AoE, the TUR full power or Super Saiyan Broly, right? His attack in base form is an AoE. So if you have like an event where there's multiple enemies and you want to get through it quicker, you'd use a unit with an AoE like this. So that is kind of the fundamentals for team building and stuff like that. Now, let's go ahead and just pick a category. So let's just say, here's what we'll do. We'll have Dokkan pick a random category for me. We'll find some way to do that, and then we will build a team based off of that, just for an example with the fundamentals. Okay, so we went over to Chat GPT and it said, let's do the Super Saiyan 2 category. So this one is actually kind of funny, and I'm actually going to show you an example of how I would do this. So we want to go to Dokkan info right here, and then this is another way to do it where you could outsource. We go to the categories, and I don't need to do this, but I just want to show it for the sake of the video. We want to look at Super Saiyan 2. Now we have one leader for Super Saiyan 2. So right away, that is a red flag that's going to, you know, spark an alarm in your head, right? But let's go ahead and do it anyway, just to give you guys an example of what I'm talking about. So now let's go back to Dokkan here. We can these bad boys. Now, what we want to do is go to Super Saiyan 2. So, like we said, what's the first fundamental? We need to identify our leader skill, or who our leader is going to be, and that is Super Saiyan 2. So, it's going to be the Tech Vegeta that we saw earlier. That is going to be our leader. And then fundamental number 2 is we need to take advantage of if he has anything else, right? So, what we want to do is he is just a Super Saiyan 2 leader, but he is also a, because of the stats, 150% leads don't really cut it. But what we could also do, if we pull up this Vegeta, his other leader skill off the top of my head, honestly, I don't know it, it's Resurrected Warriors. So what we could potentially do is also run Resurrected Warriors on this team, but I'm going to go with pure Super Saiyan 2 just for this example, right? So rotation number 1, I'm going to have this Super Saiyan 2 Gohan because he has the slot 1 utility that we want. And then for the other TUR, I want this Super Saiyan 2 into Super Saiyan 3 Goku because that is going to be really nice damage in slot 2 to complement AGL Gohan's utility in slot 1. Now, for our other rotation, what I want to do is use the Universe 6 girls, as they are going to link together very well, and they play off of each other extremely well, as Kale and Caulifla are both going to be stacking units, but I would say that Kale and Caulifla, the LR, are going to be better for slot 1, as they build up their dodge chance as the fight goes on with higher defense, so that is going to be good. Now, because our leader is not going to be the best utility here, he is going to be designated as a floater, and then the additional leader that we pick later is also going to be a floater. And then for the additional floater that we want to have for the second one, we are going to use the Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, as he has support for the whole team, essentially. So that is kind of how you would build a mock team using all 5 of the fundamentals. Like I said, we went over it. We found our leader. We took advantage of the leader skill having more than one category. In this case, it was a little bit of a bad one, so we couldn't really take advantage of it, but we did at least look. We found who was on the 200%, but in this case, there is no 200%. So again, that is always going to come down to the team that you're using. In 2024, you're always going to be using 200% leaders because that is where the game is at. We set our rotations with the Gohan and Goku and the Kale and Cauliflas, and then we found our potential floaters with the Vegeta as well as the Gohan. So that is a team building example, and that is everything you need to know in order to build the best teams within Dokkan. So let me know down below what you thought of this guide. Was it helpful? Were you able to build a better team using the tips and all that fun stuff? Leave a like I said earlier, if you did enjoy. Subscribe if you are new, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.